So I'm going to do the update in the next one. The last time we convened, this was being led by Paul Sayers. In fact, it still is being led by Paul Sayers, but Paul can't be here this afternoon, so he's asked me to update you on what was happening. But the last time we convened, it was called IMAP. After a few iterations, the name has changed to PRIMA-flood, and we've got Owen Tarrant at the Environment Agency to thank for the acronym. So I think it's a much better title than IMAP, which I never quite got, so that's good. The focus of this proposal, well, the first thing I should say was it kind of predated the network, actually. So Paul had been working on this for a little while before the first network assembly took place. But the network has done some things to help facilitate this coming together. We organised expressions of interest to be submitted in a workshop down at Oxford, where those interested got together to talk through what the objectives of the proposal might be and how their expertise might be able to fit into that. So we went through a sort of network facilitated process of trying to construct the academic team, but we also had members of the user community present in the network from the Environment Agency and others to feed into that. So some of the words here come from EPSRC's goals. You know, they want disruptive stuff that changes what we do in practice. They want to transform understanding. These are high-level words that EPSRC like to see in their proposals. But the whole focus is this about the design, assessment and management of flood defence infrastructure in the UK, of which there is quite a considerable amount of money invested in now and planned to be invested in the future. So working in this area was seen to be, you know, a very useful thing to do in terms of helping those with responsibility for managing flood defence infrastructure do it cost effectively. And we were looking for innovative approaches to help optimise how that went about, how existing infrastructure was maintained and managed, and how new infrastructure could be constructed in the future. At the workshop, the decision was taken to take a really broad view of what infrastructure was. So I won't go through all of this stuff, but it's almost everything you could think of. Individual homes were part of the infrastructure portfolio. You know, linear networks like embankments, walls, etc. Water courses, coasts, urban landscape, rural catchments. So anything that mitigated against flooding was taken into account as far as infrastructure was concerned within the portfolio. And the idea was to be able to feed through and see this line of sight all the way through from the sort of basic research to implementation in practice. So starting from the perspective that we talked about earlier on, that we want to be able to do basic in research that has an impact in practice. I have to say, having heard the discussions earlier on the breakout stage or the breakout session, we still have to talk about this in a bit more detail. Actually, I think what's becoming clearer actually is the extent of interaction you have to make sure that your objectives, research objectives, are clear and you do understand how they're going to feed through. So that was a timely lesson actually, because we've still to really put pen to paper about this and start writing the proposal. The other thing that EPSRC like to see, of course, is it should build in other stuff. So it does build in some of the research that took place in FRMRC, PAMS, Performance Asset Management System. Have I got that acronym right? Yeah. This was something that Paul was involved in with when he was at HR Wallingford and with the Environment Agency, and also the Flood Site Programme Research, EU Research Programme did some work in this. So we need to argue the case that we're building on existing programmes that have taken place, and we're going to advance that understanding further and also be nationally, internationally competitive, all these things that EPSRC like to see. So what have we done? I've already said we're doing it in collaboration with the Environment Agency's joint programme. We sent out an expression of asked people to submit expressions of interest. We facilitated the workshop, and we've come up with an outline of potential work packages, and the idea that this will be submitted as a programme grant to EPSRC. So that's the funding mechanism we're looking for. We see the infrastructure as being, you know, firmly within EPSRC's remit, and the best way to fund this sort of multidisciplinary activity is through a programme grant application. These are the work packages that have been developed following the workshop. So infrastructure informatics, hard asset performance, system risk and attribution, transitional responses, multi-objective, multi-actor optimization, integrated infrastructure analytics. Those of you who know Paul know that that's the way he likes to write, so don't expect me to explain in detail what these things mean, but we spent a lot of time thinking about what would go into each of these boxes, and people have been identified who are actually going to try and move forward and write work package descriptors as to what the technical research will be within each of these work packages. So where are we now then? Part of the programme grant submission process for EPSRC is that you have to submit a 2-page outline, and you have to be able to demonstrate that the idea is within EPSRC's remit, it builds on other research, and it's novel, and you've got the right team to deliver the research activity. So that was important to get the work package leaders in place to be able to persuade EPSRC that it was a strong team. So we've met with EPSRC, we've gone through the 2-page outline proposal, and EPSRC have indicated that they would be amenable to having a programme grant in this particular area. They see it as a positive thing. They see it as a positive thing in the way we've engaged with the Environment Agency to try and make sure that the research activities are aligned with their needs. And I think SEPA are in the loop somewhere as well, although they weren't present at the meeting with EPSRC. We now have to move forward on that and develop an extended outline bid, 4 pages long this time, that will describe how the programme would be managed and a bit more detail on what the research will actually be. We submit that to EPSRC and we get further feedback. So we're planning to do that by the end of July, in anticipation that we'll get further feedback from EPSRC sometime in August and September, with the intention of writing and submitting a full proposal round about December 2015, and if we're lucky we might get through the peer review process successfully March 2016. So this one, I guess the message from all of these things is it takes longer to achieve than you'd anticipated initially, but we're moving forward and we've now got a bit of momentum behind what we're trying to do here, and hopefully by the next time we have an assembly we'll be able to announce a successful outcome for this one, which would be a good thing for the network to have contributed to. Okay, so that's the update on that.